Taco, 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 taco. Taco strike back.
You know, I'm out of the country and I have no idea what that was about, but the point is stay away from Ana Navarro's taco. Hello, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report, and we are on location here in Tel Aviv, Israel. It's June 3rd, if you didn't know what day it was. We're a little bit in the future right now, 6 hours to be precise, but you are watching this right now at 11 a.m. Eastern. As always, we are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Locals, and it's been really just an incredible trip so far. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about what we did over in Hungary and CPAC and all that stuff and meeting with the prime minister there. And now we've been in Israel for a couple of days. We had our big show in Tel Aviv last night, which was jam-packed, sold out. It was just a great night. Thanks to everybody who came out. And tomorrow night, we will be in Jerusalem, and I think there are a couple tickets left, daverubin.com/events. And we're going to be bouncing around. Today, we're going to the Sea of Galilee. Tomorrow, I think we're doing the show live from Masada, if I'm not mistaken. We're just doing a whole bunch of stuff, and we're talking to people. I'm talking to survivors of October 7th and people that were held hostage, and we're talking to soldiers, and we're talking to we're just wandering around and just chatting and seeing people and kind of hearing the story and all of that, which is kind of connected to the backdrop of where we're going to start today, because people think, I think, that the things that happen in the Middle East maybe just stay in the Middle East, but clearly that is not the case. There's this horrific story out of Boulder, Colorado. But before I get to all of that, I want to make a quick correction. It's a little bit technical, but about a week ago on the show, we did a story about this young woman, Ava Moore, who was killed on a jet ski, and it was an illegal who was responsible for her death. And on the second video that we showed you there, where someone was being arrested, we said that that was someone that she was with. It actually was not someone that she was with. It was just another illegal who happened to be there. I know that's probably a minor technicality, but you guys know me. I am not above making a correction when a correction is due. So yeah, we're going to start with this Colorado situation, which, when they say globalize the Intifada, well, I think we're seeing it globalize right now, and maybe I'm just feeling this more so from being here in Israel, but what starts with the Jews probably doesn't end with the Jews. I think there's a lot of history with that, so everyone should care about this just purely from an American perspective, right? If we are now going to have this sort of unrelenting jihad on our streets. This is only a couple weeks after, two Israeli diplomats who happen to be Christian actually were shot in D.C. Let's not forget that Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, who happens to be Jewish, his house was firebombed on a holiday. Like, there's just a lot of bad stuff in the ether. So let's dive right in and get you caught up. This is from the Daily Wire. Sources within the Department of Homeland Security say that the suspect in the attack, Mohamed Sabry Soliman, 45, is an Egyptian national who entered the United States during the Biden administration and overstayed his visa, Fox News reported late on Sunday. Soliman is believed to have entered the country in August 22 on a visa that expired in February of the following year. The Egyptian national filed an unknown claim with the DHS's United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. The Biden administration granted Soliman work authorization, which expired in March. The FBI said that 6 people were taken to the hospital with injuries, and that a witness said the suspect in the attack used a makeshift flamethrower and threw incendiary devices in the crowd. Okay, so this man with his makeshift flamethrower and his Molotov cocktails, it sounds like they found about a dozen more, burned a whole bunch of people. They happened to be Jewish. These were people who were weekly getting together and, holding basically a meeting for the hostages. And we let this jihadist in. I guess I say we in the sort of like this because it was Joe Biden, and really it was whoever was in charge of Joe Biden that did it. And whether this guy had a visa first and overstayed it, that's still illegal, or he was just one of the people, had he been some of the people that just wandered in. I mean, think how many more of these people are in our country right now. We have no idea. What do I always say about the numbers on this thing? If you let in 15 million people and 10% of them are bad, you're at 1.5 million. And if you take 10% of them that are really, really bad, you're at 150,000. And if you take 10% of them that are really psychotic, you got 15,000. And we can keep doing this, right? We can keep going down that road. So we have no idea who's in this country, and we are clearly going to pay the price for it. I wish I could say it in a less alarming way, but we are obviously going to pay the price. Here's info from Fox News talking about a little bit more of detail on what the murderer, psychotic, jihadist, evil psychopath was planning on doing.
The details that we are now learning, as Alicia just reported out of Boulder, they are chilling. They found 14 unlit Molotov cocktails at the scene of his arrest. On his victims, he said he targeted them. He knew they were there. In fact, when he confessed to the attack, when he was being taken into custody, he told the police he would do it again.
He's granted a work authorization by the Biden administration. What does that say, Karoline, about their vetting process?
They had no vetting process. This is something President Trump has been calling attention to for years. He talked about this on the campaign trail, how the Biden administration was allowing illegal aliens from all over the world to come into our country illegally, unvetted, untested. We had a wide open border policy, and the president was right to point that out in his statement this morning. All of that has come to an end, though, John, and this administration is focused on deporting as many of these illegal aliens who entered our country as possible. Again, this is not going to be a place of asylum for those who seek to do harm in the United States of America. We have a legal immigration process for a reason that this administration is focused on strengthening. But in the meantime, we are conducting widespread deportation operations across this country to remove terrorists like this individual from our communities every single day.
In Karoline Leavitt, you know, that top 10 list I've got of the Trump people, like she's definitely top 3 right now. And can you imagine how fundamentally different everything would be right now if we had a Kamala Harris administration? Not only did they let all of these people in, but we wouldn't be doing anything about the ones that are here. And now we are going to do it. So it's compounded in a million different ways. We have all of the ones that just came through illegally that we have no idea where they are. We have all people like this who came in, you know, skirted what they were supposed to do, overstayed visas, et cetera, and clearly there was no vetting. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb here that they're going to find some posts from this guy from years ago that are pretty bad, and they let this guy into the United States. And putting ideology and putting the war here and putting everything else aside, in the United States of America, you cannot just murder people and get away with it. I know that seemingly is what the Democrats would want, but no more of this. And thank God Donald Trump is president of the United States. But again, the question, it's all to the backdrop of how many more of these people are there in this country. And it's not just this country, right? It's all over Western Europe. Interestingly, it's not in some of the Central European countries like Hungary that closed the border, and everyone says that Viktor Orban, who I met with, and all he talked about was his love of his country and wanting to keep it safe and wanting to make sure that it had borders and everything else, which Hungary pays 365 million euros a year so that they're allowed to close their border. That's the deal they had to cut with the EU. Think how profoundly criminal that is. But this is happening everywhere, and until we figure out where these people are, what their intentions are, and everything else, it's just going to keep happening. And actually, when I mentioned a bunch of the terrorist attacks in America in the last couple of months, I skipped over New Year's Day in New Orleans when a jihadi killed, I think, 12 people. So it's here, guys. Here's Florida Representative Randy Fine.
Evil by its name, because that's what we're dealing with here. We are dealing with a fight of good versus evil. And what I tell people all the time is the only reason the Muslim terrorists are going after Israel is because it's little and it's close. They want America next. And so we need to take a hard look at the kinds of people we're letting into this country, whether it's for education or other things, and we need to look at what we're allowing to be funded in our country.
Yeah, it's not that complex, guys. Figure out who's in your country, vet properly, kick people out who are sympathetic to this. All of these freaks who are on the streets masked like Hamas people that literally have Hezbollah headbands and the keffiyeh and all of these things, they are here. Yes, do they hate the Jews? Okay, fine, they want to take out the Jews, and do they want to take out Israel and all of those things, and the Jews will still be here after them, and Israel will be here after them, and everything else. But as a purely American position, and it's not just American, whatever Western country you're in, if you're a British citizen, you should not want these people here anymore. If you're a French citizen, you should not want them anymore, and we should not tolerate it. Tolerance cannot be at the top of your hierarchy of importance, right? I'm so tolerant that I will let in the very same people who will behead me and who will kill my neighbor and rape my cousin. Like, no. Tolerance can go down to third, maybe fourth. It should probably be about sixth in your hierarchy, but it cannot be number one. And now I want to show you, this is 3 clips we're going to show you of how the mainstream media is covering this. And surprise, surprise, they imply that this Egyptian man who is trying to kill all the Zionists, they imply that he is white. Then, of course, they make it about guns, and they make it about the right. 3 clips here for you.
There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male.
Across the country, we are still in the midst of a gun violence epidemic. So we need to be acting with due concern for human life. I mean, this is why, of course, we have been fighting for a universal violent criminal background check. We are for a ban on military-style assault weapons in the country. Our lax gun laws are a danger to everybody in America, and that's something that we can act with some legislative determination to turn around. But people have got to lead their lives, and people need to act with courage, but it is the responsibility of government to try to keep everybody safe from random arbitrary violence and bigotry and hate-motivated crimes.
In these violent attacks in recent months, Governor Shapiro's house, the attack and murders outside the Jewish Museum. It is also a problem on the right. In addition to the Tree of Life synagogue killing in Pittsburgh, which is obviously homicidal, there's been reporting recently that the Pentagon press secretary, Kingsley Wilson, has a history of social media posts pushing anti-Semitic tropes. And again, the problem right now that we're seeing in terms of violence is on the left. And I want to make it clear, I'm not doing whataboutism. But it is really difficult to be a Jew in America and not see this as a bipartisan affliction.
Oh, there's a lot there. We'll get to Jake in just a second because obviously I talked about him in yesterday's show. So first off, that the media could say that this is a white male. Now, you've seen the pictures of him. We'll show a picture of the guy right now. I mean, does his skin color kind of look white? Yeah, I suppose. But he was an Egyptian national who happens to be Muslim. He's he's Muslim, and he is sympathetic with jihad and all of those things. Should not been here. And the idea that he was white, right? Like they want to trick you into thinking this had something to do with white supremacy or something else. I understand that the people who watch MSNBC are already brain dead, but they're just putting more crapola on people who can't think for themselves. That's number one. Number two, then Jamie Raskin. I mean, what a pathetic answer. No, it was not random, arbitrary violence. The guy had been staking that place out for weeks. It was very specific. He's telling you who he wants to kill all the Zionists, right? Like it's completely the reverse of random and arbitrary. It was targeted and specific, you moron. And also, to make this about guns, the guy didn't even use guns. He had homemade Molotov cocktails, which anyone can make, and you can basically light anyone on fire. What are we going to do now? So you want to ban lighter fluid? You want to ban alcohol? Like you guys are just completely idiotic, and it's that shell game I always talk about. The things over here, so they make you look over here. And then Jake, look, I mean everything I said the other day or yesterday. Jake, I would like to sit down with you. I think your red pilling is getting there, but you can see the guilt that you've got still at the end there. You named 5 or 6 attacks that all came from the left. All of the stuff happening in our streets is all from the pro-jihad left that now basically encompasses the Democrat Party. And then you go back to the Tree of Life shooting, which apparently did come from someone who was right-leaning, let's say, but it was years ago. You did find one. I mean, come on, man. Don't whataboutism. Like, is there some potential brewing problem on the right? Possibly. There might be. And we can talk about it when it's real. But all of this is coming from the left, the Democrats. That's your people. So you're telling me no whataboutism while you're doing whataboutism. It's kind of like writing a book about a cover-up around a president when you were involved in the cover-up. But I say all of that to say, let's talk about this, Jake. I really mean that. Let's clean it up with Scott Jennings, because there is someone on CNN that just gets it.
Well, I mean, this is horrific. And what more do we need to see, Jake, before we realize this Free Palestine movement is nothing more than a domestic terror organization right now? I mean, we had the killings in Washington a couple of weeks ago. We have this issue in Colorado. We've seen, the activities on college campuses now for months and months and months and months. The rise of anti-Semitism in America, the rise in the number of people who have come to America who hold anti-American views, anti-Western views, and anti-Semitic views and are now willing to act on it. It is absolutely outrageous. And I think as a society, we need to understand we are dealing with domestic terrorism. It's growing more violent by the day. And if we don't deal with it, these kinds of things are going to keep happening in cities all over the place. It's awful. And we need to come to grips with the fight that we're in right now in America, a fight for the future of our country and the future of Western civilization, in my opinion.
Yeah, Scott Jennings, as usual, just basic, simple truth, which makes him look like a wizard over at CNN. What did you think when they said globalize the Intifada? Did you think they didn't mean it? They meant we do suicide bombings here, we do stabbings, murder, rape, torture, kidnapping. We do it here. And they were saying globalize. That's the thing. We're going to globalize it. And now it's happening. And it's not just in America. It's happening all over the world. Paris is burning right now because of jihadis. The UK is done. It's just done and lost. That's just reality. And when they said river to the sea, what do you think they meant? Well, this is the Mediterranean Sea right behind me. And only a couple miles that way is the Jordan River. So when they want Palestine to be free, that means they want to wipe out all of this. They'd also have to kill about 2 million Israeli Arabs who live here totally peacefully, but I guess they would do that in the name of worldwide jihad. So we are going to have to get serious about these things. And the interesting thing is when he says, that this Palestinian movement, which is they're not even a people really, but putting that aside, that this movement is, that it's a terrorist movement. It's like, why is it that wherever they are, they're burning their own country's flags, right? So they do it in Paris, and they do it in London, and they do it in Brussels, and they do it wherever they are. They're burning their own country's flags while they're showing you a flag of a country that never existed and will never exist. Why are they doing that? Because it has nothing to do with building a state of Palestine. It has to do with destroying the Western states that put tolerance at the top of that hierarchy. All right, we're going to shift altogether, talk a little bit about Elon and DOGE in just a second, but first, home title lock. Homeowners, listen up. Your home title and equity are at risk. In today's AI-driven, cyber-hacked world, criminals are stealing home titles by forging your signature, using fake notary stamps, and filing a simple document with the county. Just like that, your home is no longer in your name. They can drain your equity or even sell your property, and you won't know it until you get a foreclosure or collection notice. When's the last time you checked your home title? If the answer is never, you need Home Title Lock. I've partnered with them so you can see if you're already a victim absolutely free. Use promo code Rubin at HometitleLock.com and get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your home and your equity today. Go to HometitleLock.com and use code Rubin. All right, so I'm a couple days behind this one, but obviously I wanted to hit it because I think it's been really the biggest sort of domestic story since Trump took over, which is all of the DOGE stuff and Elon is stepping away. He's going to start focusing on robots and getting life to go interstellar, interplanetary, and all that stuff. So he is finally stepping away from his temporary position at DOGE, although stepping away, though he'll kind of be stepping back in every now and again, and he set up a structure, I think, that we are going to be very appreciative for a long time coming.
Well, let me say perhaps a few words that this is not the end of DOGE, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So that it comes with a time limit. But the DOGE team will only grow stronger over time. The DOGE influence will only grow stronger. I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government, and I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings and a reduction in $1 trillion of waste and fraud reduction. The calculations of the DOGE team thus far, in terms of an FY25 to FY26 delta, are over 160 billion, and that's climbing. We expect that number will probably go over 200 billion soon. So I think the DOGE team is doing an incredible job. They're going to continue doing an incredible job, and and I'll continue to be visiting here and be a friend and advisor to the president.
All right, so look, we really owe that guy the amount of stuff that he uncovered, the amount of waste and fraud. And then the idea that we're going to get to 200 billion in waste and fraud soon, right? But his goal is $1 trillion. He's still got the people in there. And the thing is, once you start cleaning some of this stuff up, once people need receipts, once people need to be able to look at books and be like, where is that money going? And are these people dead that we're sending checks to and all those things? Then the government will start tightening itself, right? There's been nobody in charge of anything, right? You could directly connect that to the border. Who is in charge? In some sense, it doesn't even matter. The buck never stopped with anyone. Anyone could come into this country. Anyone that worked for the government could spend on all of these crazy things. So the guy did something absolutely amazing, and he did it for free, and he did it at great cost, right? With all of the Teslas that had swastikas etched into them and Tesla charging stations that were attacked, and that this man went from 4 years ago being the hero of the left that was on the cover of every magazine as, you know, the next Renaissance man who's going to take life interplanetary, and now he's thought of as some, you know, right-wing lunatic. Like, again, it's just, they do every freaking thing backwards. And speaking of backwards, this from the New York Times: Elon Musk's legacy is disease, starvation, and death. Can you imagine that being your takeaway? I mean, I know the New York Times is not worth the paper it is printed on. It should be at the bottom of a birdcage, and that's it. It's all the propaganda that's fit to print. It is nothing more than that. Anyone you know that subscribes to the New York Times should have their head examined. It is genuinely that bad. But what is that article referencing? Well, take a look.
And when you go back to the Elon Musk story, it's the same story. He didn't just leave. He's not just slipping out of Washington. He was chased out of Washington by democracy, by people saying no, by people protesting so much around his cars and dealerships that he lost billions and billions of dollars.
And so there's folks at Boston University who count how many people have died because of what DOGE did at USAID. And USAID was a very ill-managed organization. That's true. But according to the Boston University folks, so far 55,000 adults have died of AIDS in the 4 months since Trump was elected. 6,000 children are dead because of what DOGE did. That's just PEPFAR, the HIV. You add them all up, that's 300,000 dead, and we're 4 months in.
So what are Democrats going to do about the data? Are you all going to follow up on this? What's your take on Elon Musk being done? Because I just think he's finished. He's just finished what he was doing. Actually, he's finished. He's not done because they've still got the data.
Yeah, I heard he's on some image repair tour. I think the best way for him to repair his image is to reverse all the damage he did to our government, to the American people. And yeah, those servers are a big issue. We want to continue to investigate that. And certainly, I think some crimes may have been committed over the past 3 or 4 months, and they are going to come to light. One way or another, we're going to come to light, even if it takes us getting into power again. But we will subpoena people and find out.
Who said put that man on TV? That guy's got it. Let's get him on TV with that nasally, pathetic affect. All of these people are completely ridiculous. We'll fact check the thing about all of the people dying, but it's all insane. Why do you think Elon Musk did this? How do you think he got red pilled? It's because you guys lied about everything over the last couple of years, all of the COVID stuff, everything related to Biden, and you red pilled him and millions of other people. He did not need this. The idea that Batman villain from MSNBC with the white hair, he looks like he should be in Arkham Asylum level 3 in like the most secure padded cell that they've got. It's like that guy, he's happy that Elon got chased out of DC and that people were protesting at the Tesla charging stations and everything else. You're like, you're happy about that? You people are awful. But let's fact check the 300,000 deaths. This is according to Grok. The claim that 300,000 deaths have occurred due to USAID funding cuts influenced by Elon Musk is not supported by conclusive evidence and appears to be an estimate based on projections rather than verified data. Various sources, including a New York Times article and a Boston University report, cite estimates from researchers like Brooke Nichols at the Center Center of Global Development, suggesting that cuts to USAID programs could lead to significant mortality. However, these figures are largely projections based on modeling, not confirmed death tolls. Critics argue that estimates may not account for variables like other organizations stepping in to mitigate impacts or the exact status of funding flows. Given the lack of concrete data confirming 300,000 deaths and the reliance of the predictive models, the claim should be treated as speculative, unverified. So you get that. So congratulations, some guy did a model somewhere in Boston, and they're like, that proves 300,000 people died. And you know what? If you people care so much, if you care so much about taking American taxpayer dollars to stop people elsewhere from getting HIV, and you might argue that that's a worthwhile and just fine cause. How about David Brooks? You're pretty rich, I would imagine. How about you throw in some money for that? But I'm guessing you've thrown in zero because you people don't really care. You just want to use the government to do your pet projects. And when you have the government, it's great. And when you lose the government, it is bad. But there is no evidence that anyone died. And also, again, you would allow for, if the government's if these things are so great to do, if they're so great to do and the government doesn't have the money for them anymore, let's get private people involved, right? Don't say it, show it to us, you great, wonderful people. You guys really care, except when it comes to busting out the cash. Then you care a little bit less. Guys, let's talk about Shopify for a minute, and then we will get over to the economy, the tariffs, and much more. Started the show, I had to figure everything out myself. Gear, graphics, promotion, you name it. It felt like I was running 5 businesses all at once. That's why I wish I had Shopify from day one. Shopify is the all-in-one commerce platform trusted by millions of businesses worldwide, powering 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. It makes building a beautiful online store easy with ready-made templates that match your brand. Its AI tools help you write product descriptions, enhance photos, and streamline your everyday tasks. You can launch email and social campaigns like you've got a full-blown marketing team. And when it comes to inventory, shipping, and returns, Shopify has you covered. Turn your dream into a business with Shopify on your side. Sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rubin. That's shopify.com/Rubin. Shopify.com/Rubin. All right, so the tariff war continues. Same thing I've said from the beginning. We have to see where all these deals land, but the big fish is obviously China, and that does seem to be a little tense at the moment between China and the United States. This from Donald Trump on Truth Social. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far #1 in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening and I didn't like it, for them, not for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them on what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I didn't want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the US. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. Okay, so it does seem like it's getting a little tense with China. At the end of the day, guys, look, whether you like tariffs, don't like tariffs, we all know we had bad trade deals, and we all know that Americans, what do we know about Americans? God bless us. We like to buy a lot of crap. Think of all of the crap that you have showing up at your house every day from Amazon. It's a lot of crap, and a lot of it's made in China, right? So they need us. Well, I don't know that it's more, because they make a lot of stuff that we need too, but that we actually need. I'm not just talking about the crap that shows up at your door. But the point is, they need access to our markets, even if it's all just crap we're buying. And we do buy some vital things from them too. And even during COVID, how insane the virus comes from the Wuhan lab, and we're buying all our PPE from them, right? Like it's all nuts. But at the end of the day, if you've got a lot of stuff to sell, you need someone to sell it to, and that's us. So we do have some leverage here. Scott Bessent, who's obviously helping Trump with, working out all of these deals, and he's the one that said we'll have about 60 of them probably in the next couple weeks. Here he is on CBS talking to Margaret Brennan about China tariffs and inflation.
Trade talks, you said, with Beijing are stalled, and President Trump just accused China of violating an agreement and now says no more Mr. Nice Guy. Are you intentionally escalating this standoff with Beijing?
Well, I don't think it's intentional. I think that what Secretary Hegseth did was remind everyone that during COVID, China was an unreliable partner. And what we are trying to do is to de-risk. We do not want to decouple, Margaret, but we do need to de-risk, as we saw during COVID, whether it was with semiconductors, medicines, the other products. We are in the process of de-risking.
Making the United States less reliant on China, but at the same time,
and the whole world. The whole world, because what China is doing is they are holding back products that are essential for the industrial supply chains of India, of Europe, and that is not what a reliable partner does.
the reality is there will either be less inventory or things at higher prices or both.
When we were here in March, you said there was going to be big inflation. There hasn't been any inflation. Actually, the inflation numbers are the best in 4 years. So why don't we stop trying to say this could happen and wait and see what does happen?
All right. So first off, Bessent, that's a great line. We want to de-risk, not decouple. We're not saying we're not going to do any business with China. Again, they make a lot of stuff whether we like it or not. We buy a lot of stuff whether we like it or not. Simple as that. So we don't want to decouple from them, but you want to de-risk. You want to make sure that you're not so reliant on them. So when the next pandemic hits, even if they're the ones that released it from the lab, that we don't have to get our PPE from them. We don't want to be so reliant on them for superconductors and all of these things as we enter this AI arms race. This is all obvious. And then, of course, her follow-up question, but prices are going to go up with things. That might be true at times. It actually might be. But that's the pain point that Donald Trump said could be coming if we're ever to fix anything, right? Everyone else was taking us on a slow path, right? It was just sort of the slow descent to hell economically. Virtually every country in the world was screwing us over. Now we're in this shift phase where we're getting screwed over a little bit less, but during that de-screwing, we've got decoupling, we've also got de-screwing. During that de-screwing, it's going to be a little bit bumpy. And then, of course, he's right that inflation actually has been completely fine. The market is more than back from those few days that everybody said, that all hell was going to break loose and everything else. So it's all just nonsense. And to prove that it's just nonsense, here's CNBC saying that actually things are pretty freaking good.
Personal income is up 0.8%. That is almost triple the expectations, and it underscores we could talk about a lot of issues, but when you look at income for the first 4 months of the year, they're powerful numbers, Joe. Up 0.6 in January, up 0.7 in February, up 0.5% last month, up 0.8 this month. This is a great 4-month start to any year. Now, with the income shooting up, and by the way, 0.8 is the strongest income month-over-month jump since May of 21, when it was 1.9.
Guys, this is basic stuff. Income going up, that's good. Inflation going down, that's good. Market, which was here, then went down for a couple of days as the trade deals were shaking out. 3 days, and then we had 9 straight days of growth, and now the market's above where it was. So all of these things, they were the things that we were told were going to happen. They happened, and actually things are pretty good. This next story involves a little troll-like creature who I despise, who I'm told is now only a few miles south of me. What a bizarre, bizarre world this is. We'll have that. Yes, I'm talking about Greta Thunberg, but first, CB Distillery. If you're tossing and turning at night or feeling off during the day, it's time to try CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are using it, and over 90% report better sleep. But it's not just sleep. CB Distillery is clean, targeted formulas for stress, focus, post-workout pain, and even pets. No fillers, just high-quality CBD trusted by over 2 million customers and backed by 100% money-back guarantee. If you're still searching for relief, join the millions making the switch. Right now, get 25% off your entire purchase with CB Distillery with promo code Rubin. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Rubin. Availability may vary by state. So Greta Thunberg, the retired climate activist, she realized that the climate grift was over, so she wanted to get on the jihad bandwagon. She is en route and possibly in Gaza right now. It's a little unclear to me, but listen to this from AP News. Climate campaigner Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists set sail on Sunday afternoon for Gaza on a ship aimed at breaking Israel's siege of the devastated territory, organizers said. The sailing boat Madeleine, operated by activist group Freedom Flotilla Coalition, departed from the Sicilian port of Catania in southern Italy. It will try to reach the shores of the Gaza Strip in an effort to bring in some aid and raise international awareness over the ongoing humanitarian humanitarian crisis, the activist said at a press conference on Sunday ahead of her departure. And before I even comment on that vile little troll creature, let's throw to some video of her.
Hello, I am currently standing on the Madeleine, the ship that on Sunday, June 1st, will attempt to again sail towards Gaza and to try to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor by delivering aid like food and medical supplies. The last time we attempted this, about a month ago, the boat Conscience that we were about to board, just a couple of hours before we were planning to board and set sail, it got bombed twice, and all evidence suggests that it was Israel who did it.
Oh my God.
So now we are here in Catania, outside of Sicily, to try to continue our mission to try again.
All right, listen, that little climate cunt, it is unclear to me where she is right now. She might be, I don't know if they're going to let the ship land. She's also not interested in Egypt's blockade of Gaza, right? It's only about those pesky Jews, of course. Why didn't she just, I got an idea for you, and it would have been easier than the flotilla. You could have just taken a plane over to Cairo and then taken a car ride through Sinai and then walked up to the giant border with Egypt and asked them to open the doors. Why didn't you do that, Greta? Why didn't you do that? So it is, as we tape right now, it's a little unclear where she is. Did she get all the way here? Would they allow her to enter Gaza? And what would Hamas do with someone like her? I mean, I know they like useful idiots, but like, you know, and also this idea, this climate, everything about the climate change conversation, everything was always complete nonsense. And she was just the avatar for that. But if she cared about the environment at all, the country in the Middle East that she would love the most would be this place, which has done more for green energy and clean energy and literally making the desert bloom. This place 100 years ago, when it was the British mandate of Palestine, and even before that into the Ottoman Empire, it was basically a swamp that was a flea-ridden swamp. It was the Jews who dredged the swamp. It was the Jews who then went to the Negev and made the desert bloom. That's the phrase, right? Because they created drip irrigation, because obviously it's hot in the desert, and when people were watering, all the water was evaporating, so they created drip irrigation here. They've done more for green energy and desalinization. They used to have a water deficit here, now they export water. So if you cared about any of the things that you purport to care about, and I know you don't, then you might want to revisit some of your prior assumptions. But we can't end the show with the climate cunt. Can't do it. I can't do it. We've got to end with something that actually, with a young person who I would say is the reverse of Greta Thunberg, someone that we actually all should know and pay more attention to. And it's a bit of sad news, unfortunately. But do you remember that young man, DJ Daniel, who Donald Trump gave a shout out to during the State of the Union speech, who wanted to be a police officer? Now he's an honorary police officer, and we played some videos. This guy just got such a wonderful way of speaking and a good heart and loves his country and all this stuff. It does turn out that he now has some new tumors. He's just such a great kid. Let me read this tweet from the White House. We're lifting up Agent DJ Daniel in prayer after his dad, Theodosis, shared that DJ is now facing 3 new tumors. DJ is one of the strongest, bravest young men and has now been sworn into 1,351 law enforcement agencies across the country. Agent Daniel, you're a true legend. And I thought we would end today's show, instead of Greta and the awful people and any more of the college kids that have been brainwashed and all of that stuff, how about DJ Daniel with some words of wisdom?
I was diagnosed with brain and spinal cancer. It's called anaplastic empedoma WHO grade 3. It's relapse and recurrent and metastatic size.
So have you had any surgeries for this?
13. I was not expecting that, because the craziest thing is when we got there, everybody knew, they just didn't want to tell me. My face was exactly like this. He went like this. I went like this. I said, and anywho, it looks like this. Based off my opinion, if somebody makes me have a bad day, I'm still gonna have a good day. I don't care. There's a lot of kids in that hospital that have bald heads, and they didn't want that to happen. I'm gonna be honest, none of us asked to be here. But I remember from last year, I asked my dad if I could cut my hair. He said, why? I said, there's certain kids in that hospital that ain't got no hair, so I cut my hair off just to make them happy. I don't care if I have hair. That was pretty good. I was not expecting them to be there. It's like It's like I'm just walking around and I just ran into him. That's just like you running into a brick wall. And a message for kids that got cancer: have faith, believe in God, listen to your parents.
Well, that is a good young man right there. And you know what, DJ? I'm in a place right now that, as I understand it, has a pretty good connection to God, and we're going to Jerusalem tonight, and I will be at the Western Wall tomorrow, and I will say a prayer for you, and I have no doubt that many people watching this will say a prayer for you, and we wish you the best. And in this special place that we're in right now, let's not forget we can all be special people like that guy. All right, no post-game show, obviously. Thanks for watching, everybody. More from the Holy Land soon. Thanks.
But I am telling you right now, that back there is not real.
What do you mean I'm not real? Of course I'm real. I am the President of the United States.